How do you pick your secondary weapon? Do you just go by flat power alone? Is it about usability? Or do you just go for whatever looks the best? Because I, for one, always have trouble renouncing beautiful weapons in favor of more powerful weapons. The more you play Warframe, the more you kinda understand that the guy screaming, "Hey, Fashion Frame is endgame," might not be all that crazy. Hey guys, welcome back as always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're gonna be diving deeper into this secondary weapon, the Aksomati Prime. I got a couple of builds lined up for you, something cheap-ish, something affordable that most players should be able to build, but of course we also have the quote-unquote endgame setup with a Riven. That said though, please keep in mind that my builds and guides usually take a new player-friendly approach. I like to take my time and explain a lot of the aspects that veteran players should already be accustomed to. So in case you're a veteran, and you already know most of this stuff, please, bear with me. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Aksomati Prime. Let's begin by checking out how the weapon handles, and for that, just a couple of free shots. The Aksomati Prime is what I like to call a pair of friendly secondary weapons because these are one, hit scan, and second, automatic. So if you prefer a more of a no-nonsense kind of approach to your secondary weapons or to your weapons in general, you're going to be served very well by the Aksomati Prime. But they do have a bit of a quirk to them. These have a spool up effect. As soon as the weapon reaches full spool up, which takes about a second and a half, it will stabilize. You get better accuracy and better fire rate as well. Pretty much like the comb does, if you guys are familiar with the fantastic comb shotgun. So take a look at this. First off, let's take, 15 meters till the target. If I go shot by shot, which is not recommended with this weapon, the accuracy is all over the place. But again, as soon as you reach full spool up, full fire rate, the weapon does stabilize and all of the bullets will be landing basically in the center of the crosshair. So bear that one in mind. Now let's have a comparison between the Aksomati Prime and the normal version, because the Baza was a bit of a disappointment, wasn't there? But this one is slightly better. It's not a great buff over the normal version, but have a look, accuracy went down. Why in the name of God it went down, I have no idea, because none of these weapons are viable for heavy caliber. Not the Prime and not the normal version, unless you want to use them like shotguns, so really close range. So bear that one in mind. Critical chance remained the same and the multiplier is still at 3.0x. I was expecting at the very least a 30% base crit chance, but no, cigar. Fire rate 14.3, a minor increase over the base 12.5, slightly higher magazine as well, 80 instead of 70, noise alarming, same reload at 1.4 seconds, which again is perfectly fine considering how many bullets you have. Status chance, however, is probably the biggest buff, 18% instead of 8%. Now that's a huge buff, and to be honest, the status chance is basically what kept the Aksomati in check. And you also got a 10% increase on the damage of the weapon, on the base damage of the weapon with the exact same layout, so slash is still the highest by a considerable amount. Now all of this does amount to a weapon which will be performing a lot better than the normal version, but again I think that 6% extra critical chance, extra base critical chance would definitely have been warranted, and I don't believe it would have pushed the weapon into overpowered territory. I don't really get why D was so cautious when it comes to the Baza and the Aksomati Prime, but there you go. Now, if your mod capacity is only 30 out of 30, jump into actions and install the Auto King Catalyst, which can be farmed from Nightwave. You can pay 20 plat to have one installed. Of course, it's also a possible reward from the Daily Sortie, but from the Daily Sortie you get the blueprint, you have to craft it, so bear that one in mind. When it comes to Forma, my friends, this is not a Forma heavy weapon. It comes with 3 default polarities, 2 V symbols and a dash, which is fantastic. So for a base build on this one, you don't really even need a Forma, not at all. Especially if you don't care about the weapon Exilus mod slot. Now, I'm a little bit pissed at this weapon Exilus mod slot because for some weapons, it's absolutely fantastic because in it you can use something like weapon augments, which is great, I get that. But for weapons such as the Baza Prime or the Aksomati Prime, this one is almost useless. Again, for a base build, you don't even need to unlock it. I unlock it because I have to, basically, okay? Because I want to test everything. So, there you go. Now, speaking about base, let's try a standard build for the Aksomati Prime. And we got damage with Hornet Strike, multi-shot with Barrel Diffusion, as well as Lethal Torrent. Lethal Torrent on this weapon is 100% vital. Normally, this is a mod that you're gonna be using anyway on most weapons. Fire rate is DPS, multi-shot is absolutely fantastic on basically everything except on a very specific grenade launcher, but more on that some other time. Critical chance, critical damage is a must on this weapon, Pistol Gambit and Target Cracker. And of course, my friends, if you already got the Prime mods, go straight for your Prime mods. Now in this case, I'm going to be shooting Corrupted Heavy Gunners level 120, which is why on the weapon I made the elemental combo of Corrosive between Pistol Pestilence and Convulsion. The reason why I didn't use the 260-60 mods is because I want to present a cheapo build, just in case you have just the base mods. Jolt, unfortunately, would not even be better in this case, and I'll tell you exactly why in a second. But this one can only be obtained from Battle Kit here, the Void Trader. He brings the electricity mods every couple of months, 2, 3, even 4 months sometimes. So when you see Battle bring the electricity mods, make sure you grab at the very least Jolt and Voltaic Strike, if not all 4 of them. So bear that one in mind. Now, we still have one more mod slot, well basically 2 left on the weapon. When it comes to the Exilus one, it so doesn't matter. Honestly, use whatever the hell you want on this one. If you want to go in your last mod slot for more fire rate, then might I interest you in pistol ammo mutation. You can go that route. You having problem with accuracy, go with targeting subsystems. Again, it doesn't really matter what you plug into this last mod slot. It doesn't really help all that much. I would argue for steady hands, fantastic choice, but this weapon doesn't really have much of a recoil, so you don't really need to. Again, the accuracy is fine, as long as you get it full spool up. The ammo is fine, unless you go for maximum fire rate. So in case you do that, you go like this. But then again, you have ammo pads, which is why I hate this bloody mod slot. Sometimes it's entirely useless, and sometimes it's absolutely fantastic. Now let's talk about that last option slot. Again, this is entirely optional, just like the elemental combo. If you're going down to Fortuna to fight some Corpus, build gas, build toxin. You shouldn't build one elemental combo and just forget about it. So bear that one in mind. What I would recommend for that one, for that last mod slot, first of all, would be critical chance with hydraulic crosshairs. If you don't want to farm this mod, it's pretty easy. You get it from Lua spy missions, and if you think it's hard, it's super easy. Link in the cards right now. You can get like a full run in 3-4 minutes, easy, no problem. If not, you can buy it from the trade chat. This mod is about 5 plat, give or take. More critical chance on this weapon is basically always a good idea. Of course, you can go with more fire rate. The option that we talked about earlier. You got the choice of Anemic Agility and Gunslinger. Anemic Agility is a corrupted mod. If you still don't know how to farm corrupted mods, link in the cards right now is very easy. If not, you can buy it from the trade chat between 5 and 10 plat for this one. You have an option. Are you gonna go with 90% fire rate and minus 15% damage? And keep in mind that that minus 15% damage isn't something fantastic. It simply takes away 15% of your Hornet Strike. So again, it's not a huge nerf on your gun or anything like that. Or you can go for Gunslinger. From my point of view, I would go with Gunslinger. Again, because there's only a, 18% difference between Gunslinger and Anemic Agility. And for that, you want 15% out of Hornet Strike. From my humble point of view, I would go like this, but a whole lot of players prefer to go like this. So there you go. It's not the same proposition as it is on primary weapons, because the difference in fire rate in that case is a whole lot higher. So bear that one in mind. Of course, you can also go for Punch Through. A lot of players still praise Punch Through. And here's the thing about Punch Through. Don't get me wrong. It's an extremely powerful stat, but it's not useful 100% of the time. Hydraulic crosshairs should be, as long as you're aiming. So there you go. Now, let's test out this puppy on the Corrupted Heavy Goons level 120. There you go. No buff, so by the way, this is an empty build for Loki, and we're gonna go straight for headshots, then we're gonna change things up just a little bit. Of course, with Corrosive, I'm gonna be able to absolutely shred these high-level targets. I love the really quick 1.4-second reload on these guns. And of course, it is a bullet hose, right? And it's very easy to make bullet hose extremely powerful. Now, this is what you can expect with a normal build, okay? Normal, average, everyday mods. And from my point of view, that is definitely decent performance. But it's not your only option. In general, I'm not a fan of slash builds, but on this weapon, because of the slash value is so high, we can leverage that, and now we have a decent amount of status chance on the guns as well. It's 18% base, so we can leverage that with 260-60 mods forming viral damage. Now by this point, everybody should know, but slash and viral go really well together. Viral on a status proc will be reducing the maximum health of your target to 50% for the duration of the viral effect, so it works really well with an effect such as slash, which deals damage to the target over time. Here's a slash build. This is what I would recommend, again, if you don't have prime mods. If you got prime mods, just swap in the prime mods. Pistol Pestilence and Frostbite, these two 60-60 mods will be forming the viral elemental combo. It is not a fantastic idea to go for more slash with maim like this. I know some of you are probably already thinking about it. Let's talk about the IPS rules in Warframe for just a second. impact, puncture, and slash. The free physical types have a 4 times greater chance at applying its status effect over elemental types such as electricity, corrosive, cold, toxin, you name it, it doesn't really matter. In the case of the Aksomati Prime, because the slash is already highest, it's not really worth going for maim over something like hydraulic crossers. It's true, you will get a couple more slashes with maim and your damage will basically be like 99% the same, but overall you will get a much larger DPS and damage increase if you go for something like hydraulic crossers. Yes, Augur Pack is fine as well. I heard you guys screaming about Augur Pack. Don't get me wrong, Augur Pack is a decent mod, but 9 times out of 10 you will have a better option for it. So, there you go. Now, one more time, Corrupted Heavy Goons level 120, and then we're going to be moving to the Riven section. We're going to hit a target till about 50%, then watch the slashes deal the damage. That's basically the test for a slash build. Take a look. Not fantastic. Definitely not fantastic, but it is possible to play the weapon with a slash build. The reason why we went for the 60-60 mods and not the 90 mods is not because we want 1001 vital slashes. The beauty of vital is the fact that it doesn't really need 1000 procs to be good. The reason we went for the 60-60 mods is to get more slashes on the target. Here's the thing about critical secondary weapons. Have a look at my Plinks review if you're interested. They're not really all that fantastic. If it's a pure crit secondary weapon, it doesn't have the luxury to rely on something like primary weapons have hunter munitions, right? So even if all you got is crit, you can rely on hunter munitions to get some slashes on your target, so you can escape like that. But if secondary weapons, all they got is crit, again, look at the Plinks, it's got fantastic critical stats. It's gonna be an average performer at best, which is why this weapon really needed more status chance. And as you can see, a slash build on this weapon definitely works, don't get me wrong. Again, take a look at the slashes. There's not huge values in there, but there's a large amount of slashes on the target. You can play the weapon like this. I don't really recommend it, but again, it is totally possible and your targets will be dying eventually. Maybe it's just my bias talking about slash builds. For the sake of argument, I wouldn't want you guys to think I'm not fair. We're gonna swap up hydraulic crossers and we're gonna go with main because I know some of you think it's better. It's so not, but just for a quick second, let's showcase it with main instead. More slash, whoop-de-doo, and all that good stuff. Is it clear enough it's worse than before? I really hope it is, because it is worse than before by quite the significant amount. But anyway, enough about this bull stuff. Let's talk about Rivens. This one is a loaner from a viewer. Thank you very much, mate, for loaning me this absolutely beautiful Riven. You guys want to see what it is? Yeah, you see it? So sorry. Multi-shot, critical chance, and minus damage to infested. From my humble point of view, the best Aksomati Riven would be something like multi-shot, critical chance, critical damage, or damage, then with a negative of something like minus impact. Not minus puncture, okay, minus impact. If we're talking about the quote-unquote ideal Riven. I would not pay for the ideal Riven because that would mean thousands upon thousands of plat, but if you're passionate about the weapon, if you love it, 100% go for it. This Riven will actually prove quite the significant boost in performance. Of course, the build is exactly the same as before, only we got the Prime mods, Prime Pistol Gamba, Prime Target. The reason why I chose in the standard build and in the Riven setup to go for a 60, 60 and a 90 is just to get my corrosive value higher than the IPS times 4. Remember the rules we talked about earlier. So in this case, my puncture is over 420, 30, something like that. Even with a 60, 60 and a 90, I'm still not getting corrosive to be proc priority number 1, but it is in striking distance. And of course, slash is still proc prio number 1. I don't want to commit to 290 mods either because I want to maintain a healthy status chance as well. So there's also that. If you go 290s, yeah, you do get proc priority number 1 to be whatever elemental combo you made on the weapon, but then again, you are sacrificing a whole bunch of procs. Ask yourself if that's what you want or not. And of course, with an event such as this, I'm going to be able to absolutely tear through these high-level targets like a hot knife through butter. And of course, I love the weapon. What's not to love here? I mean, they're super quick, they deal a whole lot of damage, it's a bullet hose kind of weapon, so any mistakes I make in gameplay can easily be covered by the weapon. Take a look at that. Beautiful. Absolutely freaking phenomenal. Again, I wish they would have buffed it just a little bit more, but it is definitely a good improvement over the normal version of the Aksomati. Now, of course, there's still one more thing which I want to do, bump up everything with Warframe buffs, and for that we're going to be using the ever so lovely Lady Mirage Prime, for obvious reasons, of course. Now, when it comes to buffs, we can use something like an amp, okay? Pistol amp, 27% extra damage. It doesn't matter, okay? It does not matter all that much, to be honest. You can use whatever aura you want. Some of you guys prefer to go with something like, what is it? That super popular aura that gives... Oh yeah, Energy Siphon. It doesn't really give that much energy to begin with, you know, but it's one of the few sources of actual energy, but you can use energy pizzas instead. Again, the aura doesn't really matter all that much, but you can go for pistol amp and 27% extra damage. You can even use coaction drift to increase this to something like 40-something%. If you check out the wiki, they got a very clear table there of what coaction drift offers to what auras. So bear that one in mind. Against Grenier, 100% go against with corrosive projection, because this is the aura that will give you the best results when it comes to heavily armored targets. Now, when it comes to arcanes, what I can do is go for Arcane Avenger R3, 30% critical chance, boost bonus additive after. So my guns will be going to like 150-ish% crit chance with this one up. And for a second one, we can go with Arcane Precision, which is basically the equivalent of Arcane Rage, but only for secondary weapons. This one on headshot, an 80% chance for plus 120% damage to pistols for 8 seconds. Again, think of whatever combination you want when it comes to arcanes. These two are farmed from the third Eidolon down on Cetus, but perhaps you don't have all those resources or you don't like to farm Eidolons. You can go for Awakening. Awakening is a very good, cheap alternative. As you can see, I cannot get rid of this stuff. On reload, you got a 40% chance for plus 100% damage to pistols for 16 seconds. And the problem is not that the damage increase is a bit lower. The problem is that 40% chance on reload. It's not exactly what I would call reliable, but there you go. It is a cheaper alternative. On the PC trade chat, this one goes for like 20-30 plat, so or even lower than that, so it's super, super cheap. Okay, enough about that. Let's unpause the targets, and we're going to be bumping up the level to 145. This is the maximum I can spawn. And of course, we're going to be using Mirage's Tricks, her third ability for a fantastic damage increase. Yes, I know I can get to higher damage than that, but trust me, it's enough. And of course, her ever so lovely clones. And now I'm going to be able to delete one of these targets in just a couple of seconds, as you can see. Take a look at that. Carnage and Destruction, a weapon which is fully capable of my favorite magic trick of now you see him, now you don't. I cannot not recommend a weapon such as the Aksomati Prime, because it's absolutely glorious, it's super easy to use. Basically, what more do you want from a weapon? As a, I don't want to say a veteran, I don't think myself a veteran of Warframe, but as a older player in Warframe, yeah, let's cheat like that. I wished they would have done a bit more with the critical chance, not a whole lot more, just 6% more. I don't think this weapon would have become overpowered or anything like that, and I honestly think it deserved it. They were super cautious on the Baza Prime and the Aksomati Prime, and I'm not really sure why that is. But as always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. If you got any sorts of feedback for me, I would love to read it in the comment section down below. Also in the comment section down below if you guys want to suggest any particular type of content. And in all honesty, I can't exactly guarantee that it will be done by next time or even within a week, because these things sometimes take a bit of time to make. But what I can promise you is that I will be reading through each and every comment. You can also find me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. And if you love the content, consider supporting us via Patreon. Until next time, my friends. Bye-bye. We put in damage straight out of France. This is the part when I cut and I go to multi-shoot with barrel diffusion. Crit chance is up next. Crot. No, it's not crot, it's crit. Trust me, it's crit.